wonderful people with us today. A couple of weeks ago, you met Premadonna Braddick and Marissa Ibarra-Reyes, who were authors of the book, The Cards of Life. This is my own special copy, pre-release. Well, the real release is coming up. And today I have Premadonna with us and two of the other authors from this amazing book. So The Cards of Life is a book about finding your winning hand when you're dealt some crummy cards. And in this book are stories where girls and women have shared the struggles they've been through and the things that God has taught them and the conquerors that they are today. And so today I have some of those conquerors with us. We have Atiya Bey. Am I saying that right, Atiya? All right. We have Atiya Bey, who has been through an unusual journey where her body fought against her, and she has come all the way through stronger than ever. And I also have Mahogany Lucius. Mahogany Lucius struggled with something that a lot of us deal with, where our body is just fine, but our perception of it is wrong. And she had to learn how to adjust her perception. And she learned, like a lot of us, it's a continuing thing. So we're going to talk to them about their stories. I don't want to give too much away. Premadonna Braddock is the founder of the Soaring Youth Foundation. She is also, as I mentioned last time we talked, she is also just a well, a super achiever. I don't know. She's just got this heart to minister to people, and in the process of ministering to people, she keeps getting noticed. She was featured in Tulsa People magazine. She's appeared on Tulsa TVN's Praise the Lord. She actually has her own radio talk show called Real Life, Real Talk that airs on KBOB 89.9 and a podcast at tulsapeople.com/podcast. She was a 2018 Woman of the Year. And I tell you what, she's just a pleasure to talk to. She just always has good insight. So Premadonna, thank you for being here today. I appreciate this.
Thank you for having us again, and thank you for your support and just enjoying the stories in the book. And you had made mention that though the title says narratives from teens and young adult ladies, we're finding out, and I call them seasoned women. Mm-hmm. Seasoned women are just as inspired by listening to their stories. Matter of fact, we're going to hear more from Atiya, but there's one lady, she's in her 60s, and she purchased my book, and she read Atiya's story, and she said, you know, I had scoliosis, and I could definitely relate to what she was going through, and that's what it's all about. Cards of life, finding your winning hand, and sometimes we can have a bad hand dealt to us in any time of our lives. The Lord has just called me to work with teens and young adult ladies, which has been my greatest honor to do that. I've learned a lot from them, just reading their stories. And yeah, you guys are in for a treat to hear what these ladies have to say.
Fantastic. So I just have a question for you before we get started. How is it that you have been part of such different lives? You yourself were in the foster system. And so it makes sense that you have encountered a lot of foster kids and been able to support them. But you also have such a variety of people in this book that it makes me wonder, like, how do you, if someone wanted to get started helping girls to, you know, through the really hard times of life, where do they get started? How did you begin?
Honestly, it started just with my faith. To be really honest with you, I I was just obedient to the Holy Spirit. As you mentioned, I grew up in a foster care system. And for those who ever grew up in a foster care system, there's just this huge cloud of rejection and just feeling alone and just feeling that there's no one there by your side or anyone to understand what you're going through of this orphan child, being an orphan child. And I can remember at the tender age of 5 years old, I was in Sunday school and we had to memorize verses, and we could pick any verse that we wanted. And I picked Psalms 56:3. When I am afraid, I will trust in thee.
Mm.
And for me, that gave me comfort. Like, wow, I can trust in thee, not only just God, but the Holy Spirit. And for me, the Holy Spirit has been my best friend since age 5 years old. That's who I relied on, who guided me, who helped me throughout my life. So the Holy Spirit basically said that I want you to go get my teen girls and I want you to pour into them. And then the young adult women, I found that many of them would just gravitate to me and be very transparent and open and never felt that I was judgmental because I wanted to give them what I've always wanted to receive. It was different when I grew up in church because church just seemed very judgmental and you just have to pray, trust God. And, you know, if you doubt, then you're giving in to the enemy. And that to me was just not always the truth and what was going on. A lot of times the young people, you just wanted someone to just sit and listen and they wanted to, you know, feel heard and let them know that everything's okay. So for me to start this, started off as a therapist, which I am. I work as a therapist, and just many young girls just kept coming to me. And then the Lord said, I want you to start a girls' teen summit. I had no money. Listen, I had no desires to start Soaring Eagles. I'm a California girl. Okay, let me just make that clear. Straight up city girl. So I said, Lord, you told me to come to ORU. I'll give you 2 years. And that's it. I'm gone. In Oklahoma, no offense to Oklahoma, but I was like, this is country coming from, you know, metropolitan area and everything. But let me tell you, God plants you. You bloom where you're planted.
Yes.
And Tulsa has been great to me. And Tulsa is my home that I can say that has been good to me. I have flourished. And that's where it started, the Girls Teen Summit in 2012, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And before the COVID happened, the Lord had put in my spirit in 2019. I'll never forget it. Again, the Holy Spirit. We're back to the Holy Spirit. That's been my best friend since 5 years old. I don't know any other, and it's guided me. And I remember driving up the hill, and it just fell on me. I want you to do an anthology book project. And I'm like, and he said, and use the title that you were going to use as your memoir, Cards of Life. I said, what? I said, that's the book I was going to use to produce for my story. He said, no, you have been sharing a story at the Girls Teen Summit. I've been sharing a story titled Cards of Life. He said, give them an opportunity, and then I will give you your title for your memoir, which I have. And it was just such a blessing to continue to sow seeds in their lives, for them to have the opportunity to be first-time publishers, to share their stories, to add, again, something on their resume. And many of my co-authors are 12th graders, and they're going off to college. And it just brings me joy. And what I wanted to do with this project, I didn't want to have the same story, because our world does not look like that. We all don't have the same stories. We all have different struggles in our life. And so I wanted it to look like our world. So we have persons in there who were autistic, had physical issues or mental. We have human sex trafficking. We have a variety of young ladies. One girl who attends a predominantly white school, and she's African American, just trying to just navigate through that. And then we have a young lady in there who actually did go through the foster care. That's what our world looked like. So when a person picks up this book and they see a person's story, one of the ladies' stories, like, oh, I can relate to that. And we have another one we have two of them who talks about celibacy. And a lot of times we look at celibacy as for the seasoned women or seasoned adults. But here you have girls in their 20s who's taken that oath to say, I choose to abstain from sex until marriage. And this is not something I encourage them to do. This is something that they chose and said, I want to write about that, encourage other ladies. Listen, I would have loved to read a story like that because sister was doing a little bit too much when I was in my 20s, to keep it 100. So to know that another young lady has taken that oath and that it's okay, and she's really raw with it. So Cards of Life, it's a buffet of different foods that you can eat on.
It is. And honestly, that those particular stories spoke to me too, because the baggage that we carry when we let ourselves go. And so often we're just chasing approval and acceptance when God is like, oh, this temporary acceptance where a guy's hot for you and then he's gone. That's just going to scar you even more. So yeah, those stories were, I don't know if I would have believed them when I was younger, but I'm praying that a lot more people believe this because it's true. So you ladies too, you have some stories that, I'm going to start with Mahogany, just because you have a story that is so familiar. There's so many times in my life that I have struggled with what you talked about. But everybody has, it's funny, we have this kind of weird balance where on the one hand, you have something everybody can identify with, but your story is also very uniquely yours. It's your own. So tell us, if you wouldn't mind, just tell us a little bit about what your story is about, what you've been through.
All right. My story most so focuses on like women and like with like that struggle with beauty, young girls, because like you said, it is something that every girl can relate to because there's like a standard that we feel like we have to live up to when it comes to beauty. So like being able to break down that standard and represent the beauty in the way that you can. It's not all about being perfect and being perfect and like living to society standards, but really finding you and identifying in the beauty that God gave you and not wanting more. So I really talked about like what I went through and struggled in. Like it kind of started in like middle school, which is like the age where you start to like you start to like boys, and all that can play an effect in like your beauty and how you feel about yourself. So it was really more so helping young women like myself because still to this day I do struggle in it. But like knowing that God is always there to help you and to help you find beauty, and that it's not all about like what society says it is.
That is wonderful. The middle school thing. Were you ever the one who, like, in between every class ran to the bathroom to update your eyeliner or your lipstick? Or
I don't think I was that.
no?
I was more so I was the one that was late to class, so I'm trying to rush to get to school. So I don't think I was like that.
Well, good. Hey, there's one battle saved, right? So, Mahogany, what do you think beauty is now that you've been through this and you've dealt with that mirror? What to you is beautiful?
To me, what beauty is like being yourself and not trying to measure up and live to other standards. So being confident in you and not trying to, compare yourself to what someone else may be, because we're all in different lanes. When someone's in one season of their life, like you can't be in that same season as them. So I think what beauty is to me is more so walking in your own lane and not, like I said, like creating your own meaning of beauty and not living to what society says. So I am able to uplift myself and encourage myself. So when I do get in those moments, it's not going to last long because here I am back rebuilding myself to the person that I wanted to be. So I think it's really rewording what other people in society says beauty is and you walking in true beauty.
I'm going to rewind you just a second. You said something so powerful. Being the person that you want to be, that person that God has designed you specifically to be. It's funny. I have a friend, right? And she thinks beauty. She was going to do my flower garden, and when she was planting my flower garden, she kept picking pinks and pink and more pink, and like pastel fluffy things, and that's her idea of beauty. And my idea of beauty is the deep reds and the purples and the like, I don't know, it just very different. And anything smelly, I love smelly flowers, but that's the difference. Every single person is going to look for something different in what they think is beautiful. So golly, we could kill ourselves trying to live up to everybody else's standards of how we should be and who we should be and what we should look like or sound like. So you did a good thing. You found out what you wanted to be. And how do you align your life? Do you regularly check in with, this is who I am and this is how I'm living, and make sure that those things are in alignment?
Yes, and I think it also helps like being able to like spend time with God. And
Yes.
recently, like in my time that I've been spending with God, I've been asking Him to help me love me. So help me break down those walls that I would constantly build up when I would get in those moods where I'm just like, oh, I don't feel pretty enough, I don't feel beautiful. So really, it's like every day I'm learning something new to love about myself, and I feel like it keeps me going because it's just like I said, when I get in those moments, I'm never gonna be able to break down because it's like God is still right there helping me build myself back up, and it's like I'm still learning new things about myself that are making me fall more in love with myself.
That is wonderful. Now, all of you ladies, um, think of the most beautiful person in your life, the person that makes you just be like, I want to be around this person. Um, Raise your hand if the thing about that person that makes you want to be around them is the way they look. What? Nobody? All right. So the thing that makes you want to be around that person, Premadonna, what makes you want to be around your favorite person?
For me, I look at energy, honestly. I have a discernment of how they treat people. See, I was that girl in college that had my roommate. She was a paraplegic in a wheelchair. And people were like, how do you be, why are you her roommate? I just have always been that person would be friends with anyone that maybe someone else I kind of run from. That's just who I am and I think a lot of that because I felt rejected and misunderstood. So honestly, I look at people's energy, how they treat others. That makes me want to be around them if they're encouraging. And I don't care how beautiful you are. I don't care how famous or whomever. That doesn't mean a hill of beans. I care how you treat people. And like they say, birds of a feather flocks together. And if you don't treat people with kindness, because me as a Christian, I follow Corinthians 13. Love is patient and love is kind.
Yes.
And if you're not kind to others, you can just move around.
Yeah.
Just move around.
You gave yourself away there when people are like, why would you be roommates with her? Okay, I can't even imagine somebody saying that. But you notice the strength in people, and you actually elevate that strength and make that, like shine a light on that strength. And I'm sorry, but if you're in college and you're a paraplegic, then you are kicking some butt because you already have a whole life worth of challenges, and now you're taking on something that even makes strong people fail. So that, I mean, not strong, but physically able people fail. So that, I mean, you saw somebody with strength. And I love that you did that.
Yeah.
You, Atiya, when you think of that person in your life or those people in your life that you're just like, I can't wait to see this person again. What is it about that person that makes you enjoy them? Oh, wait, you're muted. Let me unmute you here. Oh. Uh-oh, we're having some difficulty there. Hang on one sec. Let me stop you and start you again. How about that? Oh, no.
Can we not hear her?
I'm having some troubles with the audio.
I think she can hear us, but we can't hear her.
Yeah. Tell you what, we'll still be here. Why don't you exit and come right back on? Because I know your audio was working earlier, so it will work again. Just exit and come right back. So meanwhile, Mahogany, who is in your person, that person that you think of, what makes you want to be around them?
I think for me, it's more so like how do they carry themselves, and I feel like you can tell a lot from a person on how they carry themselves. Like when they go out the house, are they the type of person that likes to always be dressed up, or do they like to dress down, or do they have their days where they can dress up but they will dress down? So I feel like it does matter like how a person carries themselves, but not only that, like their personality. So how do you act behind closed doors, or what are things that people don't normally see from you? So if they do see, like, would they change, like, the way they think of you, or would they continue? So I like to look at how a person carries themselves and their personality. I feel like there is beauty in everything, so you can't really pinpoint and try to pick apart.
And you make a good point. We tend to, it's funny, when we are insecure and we're thinking about ourselves, you walk into a party and you're thinking about what you're wearing and thinking everybody's looking at you and all this kind of stuff. You actually put a little bit of a force field around yourself because you're looking down, you're looking away, you're clearly not concentrating on the other people because you're thinking about you. And that can push people away and basically make your insecurity come true, right?
Yes.
But when you walk into the room and you can just say, whatever I'm wearing and be comfortable, but you walk into a room and you're paying attention to the other people and you're interested in the other people, then everybody wants to be near you. And so it's funny, the way we carry ourselves really is a thing. And sometimes it's a subconscious thing. It's a thing we don't realize. We might try to strut, but we need to pay attention to how our insecurities, how our feeling that everybody's watching us is playing out in our body language so that we're not pushing people away. Shift our focus. That's a good one. You also mentioned how do they what do they like behind closed doors? I had some friends that did that online dating thing, and one of the problems with online dating or meeting strangers is that you can get to know everything they tell you about themselves, but you don't get to see how they treat the waiter or their mom, and that is key because you're going to end up being treated like their mom eventually when the shine wears off, right? So those are very important things. So Atiya, let's see if we can hear you.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, and that makes me happy.
Okay, good.
Tell me about the person you love to be around. Why?
I love to be around my favorite person because they always respect others around them, and that can always be a big deal about the person you are. So if you're hanging around somebody who, doesn't respect others, that can tell a lot about yourself. So that's why they're my favorite person.
Nice. Psalm 1 tells us, blessed is the one who doesn't sit in the seat of the scornful. It's just telling us don't hang out with mockers, don't hang out with the scornful. They might be funny, you might feel good because you're one of them, but in the long run, they're judging you too. They're scorning you too. So you're right. People who treat people with respect might not have the same banter, but boy, I tell you what, long term, they're a lot easier to be around. My husband is just an example of that for me. With my first husband, I never felt good enough. I was always trying to be as cool as everybody else he was interested in. And I realized that even though we had this really fun, zinger kind of thing where we're always like snarking at each other, um, it eroded my love, my soul, my sense of self. And with my husband that I've had now for 24 years, he's always accepted me. And even when I was very judgy of him, he's always accepted me. And that's healing and freeing. And I've blossomed because of it. And I've learned to accept him the same way. So that's beautiful that you notice that people respect you. Thank you, Mahogany, for sharing that about beauty with us. I think that is just such a good topic. Atiya, you have a very unusual story, and you have had to rely on people a little bit, and I think we all learn to do that more gracefully, right? So tell us your story.
So my story began around July of 2017 when I first got diagnosed with scoliosis. But to bring it back a little bit, it did begin around, let's say, middle school, third grade. I didn't really fit in with a lot of the students or a lot of the girls because I looked different or I was a different size. And also because of what I was diagnosed with, which was scoliosis. Like I said, I did look a little different, so I didn't fit in. I did have to learn how to be on my own, and that can be a little difficult as a young person because you want to fit in with the crowd and you want to have a bunch of friends. And moving from New York to Delaware after being diagnosed with scoliosis, I did have to end up getting surgery because I had advanced scoliosis, which means I had lumbar and thoracic scoliosis, which is the top and the bottom of the spine, which required a spinal fusion, which was 5 hours long. The recovery process was very strengthening in a way for my personality because I learned that the only person that you can really rely on besides your parents who love you, of course, is God, because without God, what could you do without him? Yeah. And after leaving service today, because it is Sunday, I did go to church, I learned that nothing is impossible without God on your side. And that's what I've been learning so far, and I'm just so blessed.
I am so grateful for that. That must have been very painful.
Yes, it was. The recovery process was painful. I did have to go on a series of medication because of how much pain I was in, but over time it did get better. I'm standing up so much straighter and I feel so much better about myself, even though I still do have some insecurities like every other girl in the world. Right. I still make sure to talk to God every day, and he affirms for me that despite what anybody says, it's important to love yourself and who you are.
Yes. And did you have to wear the brace in school?
Because my scoliosis was caught so late, I was not diagnosed with the brace, but I did do scrot therapy, which is not really heard or seen or even prescribed by doctors because they don't really believe in it. They rather you just jump right into the surgery. So I did do scrot for about 6 or 7 months, but that didn't end up working. So I just went straight into the surgery.
Gotcha. I'm so glad the surgery helped you. I've known people with different back issues, and sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't. And it's so disappointing to wake up from the surgery and realize that it's not any better. So I'm so grateful that has been a blessing for you. Good.
Yes.
And you have some really neat people in your family. I got the chance to meet a couple of them earlier, and I love the way they're showing up for you. Yay. Your story, I felt like I was part of the whole household when I was reading your stories.
Yeah.
So are
My
you still
family is
doing the?
very heartwarming.
Yeah, they look after you. I like it. Are you still doing the United Nations? What? Tell me about that.
Well, I'm currently not doing it as of right now because I am preparing to go to college in a few
Oh,
months.
well, that's important.
But I will be volunteering over the summer for a couple weeks. That was a great experience for me as well because I got to network with a lot of people around the world. There was even one woman who's from Harlem, New York, who I got to network with and work with her over the summer, which was really exciting. It was a really fun experience. It was new to me because I've never really been to an event like that before, but I did enjoy, being out of my bubble because I am very shy. So I did enjoy that experience.
For those who haven't yet read the book, which is pretty much everybody, can you tell us a little bit about like what that was? Because I just mentioned United Nations and everybody's going, what? So tell us what that was and what you did in that.
Okay, so last year before COVID was around, I participated in a beauty pageant that was sponsored by where I live at called Rochdale Village. I did end up winning, so I gained a scholarship, and then with the partnering pageant called Miss Caricom, they allowed me to go with them on a United Nations conference with the Youth Council to speak about global warming and stuff like that. So I got to meet different diplomats and politicians, not like in person because, they're busy with meetings and stuff, but that's how I got into the United Nations. So I now am an ambassador. I did recently get invited to a meeting in Istanbul, but it's COVID right now. So I just did, I just joined through Zoom, but other than that, that's all.
Okay, that is super cool. That is something that when I was in high school, I thought one day I'd love to be like an interpreter at the United Nations or something. So I think that's super neat that you got to kind of see how they operate and be a little bit part of that. Fun.
Yeah.
And so you're getting ready for college now. And Mahogany, did you say when do you graduate?
I graduate this year too.
Do you graduate this year too? Okay, so
Yes.
you both graduate this year. That is really exciting. So, Atiya, I know that when you first go, you graduate, you start into college, you kind of have ideas that eventually you go, wait, I want to do something completely different. But at the moment, what is your plan? What are you really hoping to do in this world?
My plan is to mainly focus on psychology. I enjoy psychology so much, but I mainly work with adolescents. And right now I'm in the bachelor biology program for my school, leading into pre-med.
Okay, whoa. Bachelor biology leading into pre-med and you're thinking about psychology.
Yes.
Wowzer. Okay, that is ambitious, but I absolutely know that you'll be able to do it. And psychology is fascinating.
Yes.
I love Premadonna. You apparently had a little bit of impact here. But yeah.
Well, I will have to say this. I will have to say I met Atiya. Can you hear me? Okay. I met Atiya when I put the announcement out there. She initially had planned to come to the Girls Teen Summit, and listen here, all the way from New York. Atiya lives in New York, so I can't take too much credit. She has incredible, amazing parents. And so she came aboard because she was registered for the Girls Teen Summit, but I don't know, something happened. She was unable to make it, but we stayed in contact. And I sent it out to all my ladies who had registered for the summit. And she said she definitely wanted to be part of this a project to be a co-author. And that's how we were able to make contact. But what's great about this, it gives Soaring Eagles an opportunity to really spread our wings, to say that, hey, and a young lady on the East Coast that's inspiring young ladies that where I couldn't even touch, and her story is touching, and that's what it's all about. Soaring Eagles is the whole mission is for us to soar and have other ladies soar as well. And so she's soaring over there on the East Coast, and we have another co-author who's in New Jersey, and we have another co-author, two co-authors in California. So Soaring Eagles is definitely spreading their wings. The two ladies in California definitely had an impact in their life. But we've seemed to gain a relationship with Atiya. Some of the questions he had, her parents did a great job, very mature for her age, and she would call me and she was very on it. She was very on it. Like, she would ask me questions and help coach her through the writing and just kind of give her ideas. And the same thing with Mahogany. I applaud the parents because it made it very easy to work with these young ladies, and they're the MVPs of this. I just basically come behind what the parents have sown such great seeds in them. And for me, I want other young ladies to see these ladies, their peers, who are talking about, going off to college, and they have some struggles too, like that's similar. But they're saying, hey, I choose education, or I choose this path because another reason why I put this together, coming from California, it was just a different culture here in Tulsa. And I saw a lot of ladies, teenage girls who just stopped dreaming. And my girls' team summer was dreaming with their eyes wide open, and they didn't know what that looked like because the homes that they came from, they unfortunately didn't have the parents as these young ladies do. So my hope is when they read the pages on their stories on these pages, they say, hey, if she can do it, I can. And that situation happened when one of my ladies who's in a book too, she went to Harvard University.
Yes.
And I had another lady who I mentored since she was 10, and she was feeling some type of way. She said, wait a second, we both from the North Tulsa. If she can go to Harvard, I can too. So she was inspired that she went to Harvard. And this is my goal, that other young ladies will be inspired by Atiya and Mahogany, who Mahogany works. She, a lot of stuff that she works, like she comes from a big family. And she understands that, hey, I'm going to have to work and put money in and do a lot of things to make things happen. Like, a lot of things are just not given to her. People may think it is, but she has to do what she has to do. And again, she's encouraging another young person in her age bracket to say, if Mahogany can do it, I can. If Atiya can do it, and she had these physical ailments that she could have just put her hands up and said, I can't do this. I'm in just too much pain. But you learn that your pain turns into a purpose. Your things that are opposition towards you is opens a great door of opportunities. Now just leave it right there.
I love it. And Atiya, how many years, or how long, I guess, was it that you had a hard time? You were tired carrying those heavy books, and you didn't really know what was wrong, and then you got diagnosed, and then eventually you had this surgery. How much time passed during that?
I would say about 5 or 6 years, including this year. Yeah.
5 or 6 years, but you're not 5 or 6 years behind in school. You didn't go, I can't do anything but deal with this pain, right? You just said, well, this morning I'm going to get up and I'm going to feel okay and I'm going to do what I got to do. And that is, oh man, that's a message for all generations, let me tell you, because so times we let whatever is negative in our life eat our whole 24-hour days, instead of saying, well, this is part of my life and it's not the whole thing. I'm going to make a life beyond that. Mahogany, you did the same thing. You had this little bit of, you had this struggle with the mirror that you're like, I'm not going to hide, right? I remember getting a pimple in middle school and thinking, I can't ever be seen again until this is gone, right? Guess what? Middle schoolers get lots of pimples. I think I was 25 before I quit doing that. But you didn't let anything stop you, and you decided to say, I'm going to change the way I think, and I'm going to go forward. So you both just such an encouragement, all three of you, such an encouragement on every level. And I like that in this book, Premadonna, you have people who had either, no parenting or horrible parenting that they went through, but you also had people who did have parents that stood by their sides, because, there are people who give up because the culture around them is full of people who haven't graduated and who haven't done anything with their lives, even if they did graduate. And then there are people who give up because they're just a little spoiled. We have so much that we just take it for granted and wish that people would stop trying to tell us what to do, right? And so you actually have people in your book who could have chosen that route on either side of the fence and didn't, and show us literally step by step how they've gone through it. And I really appreciate that. Mahogany, what are your plans after high school?
So I do plan on going to college, and I would also be a psychology major as well.
Wow.
Yes. But I'm looking into psychology, but I've also been speaking to like the professors at the university about like switching it. It's still doing psychology, but also like doing it in a way of going underneath like the law. So studying criminal justice as well.
Ooh.
Yes.
I tell you what, our justice system needs a lot of reform, and it's going to take people with understanding of how the human psyche works and how we can really rehabilitate people or help people, and instead of crippling them further. So that's really a neat idea.
Yes.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, this is exciting to me. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to open the floor. If you had somebody in front of you who was 5 years younger than you, maybe you had yourself 5 years ago, right? Let's say 7 years ago, 10-year-old self, right? What would you say to that 10-year-old person? Mahogany, what would you say to your 10-year-old person?
If I was able to speak to my 10-year-old self, I would probably tell her to be more patient and more vocal in the things that she wants, and just to speak up more, because I feel like that is also a big part in radiating confidence, knowing when to speak up and defend yourself. So I think speaking up and knowing that there are going to be tough days, but you got through them. So I think that would be something I would tell my 10-year-old self.
Awesome. What about you, Atiya? What would you tell your 10-year-old self?
I would tell my 10-year-old self to not give up and don't allow other people's opinions to affect you, because being in, I forgot what grade you were in, around 10, when you're 10 years old.
So. 4th or 5th.
5th grade can be a little tough because students can have opinions about you that you think is true because they tell it to you every day, but you just can't allow people's opinions to affect you, and you can't lose focus with God as well.
Oh, so true. He's going to be with us for eternity. None of these other people will be. Well, I mean, hopefully we'll see him in heaven and stuff, but you know what I mean? He is the one side by side with us through every single thing, birth to eternity. So you're right. You got to speak up for yourself. And at the same time, you gotta let some things just go because these people are temporary. Kids are kind of mean sometimes. Like a lot of the time when we're kids, right? Prima Donna, what would you say to your graduating self, your high school senior self?
What would I say to my high school senior? I would say that you're not alone. You're not alone. I mean, I kept a lot of things hidden of what was going on in my personal life because I felt alone. And I assumed looking around me, everybody's life was a lot better than mine. And that person, I would say you're not alone. And that you have a story that's going to help many other young girls. And just sitting here looking at this, Atiya and Mahogany, and I still just get the chills. Like, did this just really happen? Like, did this just? I don't. I'm still in awe that my story went as far as to Atiya, New York, New Jersey. And they're just paying it forward. I want to say this. Atiya's mom, and I love her dearly. Like, she's a mom. She's a mama bear. And so it's good. I understand. You have to be. We had conversations on the phone, and she said, I just want to tell you, she said New York. New York is just straight up. Like, that's just a sculpture. They're just straight up. We go keep it 100. And I appreciate it. And she said, yeah, I did some background check on you. I said, okay, that's fine. I want you to, that's, if someone's going to take on a project like this, you want to make sure everything is fine. But when her response, she said, but you would never believe this is a big, big world, small world. I said, excuse me? She said, the lady I had to check up about you has been following you and said that you're doing this incredible work for these teen girls, and you better have your daughter part of this project. Like, this would be so many opportunities. I don't know this woman from a can of paint, but my story went as far as to New York, where they did a background because of social media. And she said, she is changing these ladies' lives. It will be a shame if you don't have Atiya part of this. So that high school graduate, you're not alone, and tell your story is what I would have told that person. Yeah. I started a little bit later in life, like after graduate school, but hey, I did it. I started telling my story.
You did it, and you made it that far, which was a challenge for you. Yeah. There were a couple of times that you thought, what is the point of this life? And to think of the loss to this world, if you had listened to that voice. And I am so grateful that you didn't. I am so grateful that you are here and you continue to just pour out. And it's just amazing. The Bible tells us that what the devil has meant for harm, God will use for good. God's not done until we throw up our hands, and hopefully we never do, because he just gets better and better and better. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I just oh my gosh. Okay, so yes, I really, really appreciate you ladies. This book, I was, helping with a little bit of formatting, and I just had to I stopped a couple times and just cried, and I'm like, thank you, Lord, or journaled or whatever. There's some you ladies are powerful, and you probably don't even know how powerful at this time. But yes, you are not alone. Don't listen to those voices. Just listen to the voice of God, who will accomplish his purpose through you. He always accomplishes his purpose if we just keep showing up. And we don't have to accomplish his purpose, right? We just have to keep showing up, hanging out with Dad, and Dad does amazing things through us. So God bless you, ladies, as you leave school and go on into, into college and into whatever your future holds for you. So, and Premadonna, your book launch party is in Tulsa on June 4th. Can you give us the details of that? I'm going to post a flyer after.
So yes, it'll be,
yeah.
Yes, it'll be June 4th. We were able to collaborate with the 1921 massacre, the Centennial Commemoration, Tulsa Massacre, the Centennial Commemoration, which is huge. This will give a lot of exposure to the ladies to share their story. It's going to be at Holiday Inn on June 4th from 5:30 to 8:30. So we're very excited about that. The mission is free. The ladies will have their opportunities as first-time published authors to sign. I urge you guys to come on out so you can get a signature from them. So this is going to be very exciting. We'll have door prizes. We'll have just a nice program put together. Some of the co-authors are going to, not only are they talented with their writing, but they're going to show us some other talents with singing, and another one plays the instrument. And we're thankful to our sponsors, A Drink to Shrink, Felicia Jones, and Proverbs 31. She's going to be sharing about paparazzi. We have Transformation Church that gave a donation. Bishop Gary McIntosh, who sits on my board, gave a donation towards the book launch. Oh God, I hope I'm not missing anyone else. Of course, Soaring Eagles is there, and Cove and Elegant Mirror that's located in Lawton will be doing all the decoration. Elegant Mirror in Lawton, Oklahoma. She's a mother of one of the co-authors, and she will be providing a lot of decorations. But I also want to mention that Atiya, even though she's in New York, she's put in a nice book launch for herself, and prayerfully I can be there to support her. She will be in, I believe it's in July, right, Atiya?
Yeah, July 24th. Yes.
Nice.
July. So can you please share with us
yes.
the details about that for people who are in New York area?
Yes. My book launch will be July 24th in Jamaica, New York, from 12 to 5 p.m. Unfortunately, I do have to ask my mom where the location will be exactly. I'm so sorry, but it will be from 12 to 5.
Okay.
Any other information I will share to Premadonna, and then she'll send it out to all of you guys, and I'm very excited.
Perfect. And you can also just add the details to this video in Facebook too. So yes, I am so excited. Oh, book launch parties are so much fun. I'll never forget my first one. Yay. Oh, does she have it?
Do you have the time?
Oh, Brookville Park. Look at that.
The place,
Perfect.
Brookville Park. Brookville Park, yes.
Thank you, Brenda. I appreciate that. All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
because go ahead.
I was saying, yeah, when I spoke to her mom, because you're having your prom that weekend of the book launch, Atiya?
No, my prom is in June. My prom is June 5th.
Right, June 4th. Yeah, 5th, yes. Right. So I know she would have been able to make it, but hey, senior prom trumps over everything. It's your last year. So I totally understand. And yeah, you can't miss out on your prom. Did you go to yours already, Mahogany?
We did already have our prom. I did not go, sadly. It was
oh no,
they told us like a lot of the information last minute, so it was hard to find a dress that you would like, and like in hopes of not having the same dress as no one else. So I did not go. I regretted it just a little bit, but I was also not as mad about it as I would have.
I didn't go to mine either. I was dating a guy in the Air Force, and he had to stay on base for the weekend, and I was like, But no, life is full of wonderful moments, especially, I mean, the start you ladies are getting, you'll have a chance to dress up again, I promise. Yay.
I know the ladies have their oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, please.
Oh, I was saying, ladies, do you have your website up already?
I do not. I'm still talking.
Me either.
I think I still have to contact about getting the website up. I would like to have that up though.
Okay, I was just gonna for the family and friends who want to support them, and they can purchase it there. And if you go to Amazon, the proceeds goes to Soaring Eagles, so we can continue to do the programs and produce a volume 2 for Cards of Life. So we continue to, spread our wings. But yeah, they're going to have their own website where you could purchase the book from them.
Fantastic. And the book is already available. We are having the big launch party June 4th, but the book is already available, and the ebook will be coming up soon. So get your copy and get a copy to give away. Somebody is going to have a birthday this year, and they are going to need this book. So, knock it out. Yeah. But thank you, ladies, so much for being here. And thank you all for watching and sharing this video. And if you're listening to the podcast, share the podcast. And if you have a story that you would like to share, I would love to hear it. I'm Chrissy Bridges from One Moment Wiser, and I teach Christians to become authors because God speaks to people through each of our unique voices, just like he's done through these ladies. And I didn't have to teach them anything, but I would love to hear your story and give you a chance to share it. So just contact me at One Moment Wiser. That's the number 1 Moment Wiser on any of the social medias, or just send me an email at info@onemomentwiser.com. All right. Well, God bless you all.